Let's talk about Stoicism and Islam. Have you ever thought, can you improve your life with just impressive motivational words and aphorisms? On YouTube, Instagram, and many other platforms, there are constantly the same fancy guides and motivating words. It's like they're all temporary pills that motivate us instantly. I'm not saying all these words are in vain. Of course, some people were influenced by these words and showed some changes, but these haven't worked for me. I'm sure they won't work for you either. So, let's take a closer look at the subject together. We are in the 21st century. Even though today's people have reached the peak in technological development, they are still centuries behind in many issues such as loneliness, introversion, dissocial behavior, lack of faith, lack of education, and morality. These negativities continue to a significant extent in the lives of people who have to live together. For this reason, people strive to find new ways to complete these deficiencies. The Stoicism formula, which has recently become quite popular, is one of the ways that people are in demand. You must have come across quotes, sayings, sentences, and aphorisms against this trend on every platform. However, a person cannot chart the right path for himself with only aphorisms and impressive motivational words. There has to be more than this disbelief he or she has in order to be protected and guide through life, and also be a useful person both to himself, herself, and to society. A person in search needs to search for the path, faith, and guidance that best suits his or her characteristics. One wants to take everything to see if its parts are useful. However, without a guide, one might not notice the dangers on one's path. On this subject, I will talk about some common points of Stoicism and Islam, and some contrasting points. Islam and Stoicism are largely different in terms of historical, cultural, and belief principles, while they do share some similarities in philosophical and ethical principles. Let's explore the comparison between Islam and Stoicism from an Islamic perspective, explaining the shortcomings of Stoicism in human life and how Islam fills these gaps. Belief in God. Stoicism emphasizes the rise of philosophy, logic, ethics, and morality. Stoics embrace a product universe governed by natural rules. It advocates gaining control over thoughts and living in harmony with nature. The majority of Stoics appear to have a pantheistic understanding of God. In other words, according to them, God's order is in his place, and nature has a supreme value. Pantheism sees God as the all-encompassing, innate being, so they see God a being interchangeable with nature. This is completely contrary to the principles of Islamic faith. The most distinctive feature of the Islamic religion in terms of belief is the importance it attaches to the principle of monotheism. We can also call monotheism Tawheed. Tawheed is based on the principle of not accepting any creator or God other than Allah. Islam is both the first and the last divine religion. It is essential to comply with Allah's orders and prohibitions. Islam, which takes its name from this feature, is not only the specific name of the religion conveyed by the last prophet, but also the name of the religion of the previous prophets who conveyed the same principles. Attributing the attribute of God to nature or the universe would cause great harm. That is, it is not possible. Matter is simply helpless without him. Matter is variable. According to the laws of entropy, matter gradually undergoes changes and wears out. According to this view, naturally the creator becomes helpless and worn out. Well, could this be the case for a god? For example, all living things in nature are born and then they die. So, does the creator die? No. This is one of contradictions. Matter was created later. The universe eventually emerged. For this reason, matter, the universe, and nature all need a creator. That creator is Allah, who is unique, has no need for anything, and is eternal. Practices. Stoicism emphasizes self-discipline and advocates being guided by reason, not understanding. Stoicism emphasizes controlling negative circumstances and not worrying about negative situations. Stoicism is like playing a game with unclear rules. Although the Stoics advocate following the logic of reason, it can sometimes be difficult to understand what this means in everyday life. Islam is like having an instruction manual for life, because Islam deals with every aspect of life. It has a say in all of a person's actions, from waking up in the morning to going to bed at night. By providing clear guidance through the Quran, Islam wants people to embrace worship for the betterment of the human soul, which is constantly surrounded by pleasures and desires. Because most of the time, the soul and mind alone, without any guidance, lead to the imperfection and restlessness of the person. Islam does not want us to be completely stripped of its desires. It is desired that these be achieved in balance. Purpose of life. According to the Stoics, life is all about a journey. What is important for the person is to complete his or her self-development during this journey. People should focus on the things they can intervene and change about themselves. Stoicism is like saying, just deal with it when you're upset. Stoics advocate controlling emotions, which can sometimes lead them to ignore emotions. Of course, emotions must be controlled, but after a while, this unguided control can numb the person. Life for a Muslim is like a field where he sows fresh seeds. He waits for the afterlife for every seed he sows in this world to germinate, mature, and then reap them. There is a clear purpose in Islam. The sole purpose of a Muslim is to gain the consent of his Almighty Creator, who created him from nothing. And this purpose is much greater than any material purpose in the world. It is a great comfort for a Muslim, because a person who does not believe is in utter darkness. For him, death is terrible. Ethical and moral values. Stoicism defines virtue as wisdom, temperance, honesty, and courage. These four basic ingredients constitute the key to a moral life for the Stoics. Virtue is considered the highest value in Stoicism, but the sole purpose of these values is for individual development. Man should live for himself, and ethics and morality should always be for himself. Although such an understanding causes inner peace in an individual person, it still cannot cure many negativities. One of the greatest features of Islam is that it advises people to have good morals. Good morals have a wide place in Islam. The Quran and the Hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad emphasize good morals. Islam aims for human happiness both in this world and the hereafter. That is why, as in Stoicism, Islam advised not only the four basic principles of wisdom, moderation, honesty, and courage, but also dozens of more moral values. It also prohibited any action that would harm people in society. Islam is like being part of a team. Islam emphasizes community and teaches how to be a person who is useful not only to oneself but also to society. Conclusion. Stoicism has some interesting ideas about being strong and self-controlled, but we can say that it is vague, aimless, lonely, and self-indulgent. Islam, on the other hand, offers clear guidance, a strong sense of community, and meaningful relationships to live a balanced life and move towards a greater purpose. Note that the insights in this video are introductory only. That's why I can recommend doing more research and in-depth studies, especially on Islam.